Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final episode of the Lifecyclist. Today, we have the honor of welcoming Anna Levitin, the Lifecycle lead at DoorLoop. Welcome on stage, Anna. So great to see you.
Hi, everyone. Hello, hello. So happy to be here.
Woo! We'll be discussing how to get quick wins in the first 3 months into building a life cycle area and a Series B startup has the first life cycle hire. So, Anna, how are things going over there actually?
Besides of being a little bit in the dark right now in the light, we will leave no secrets in the dark about email, about life cycle, and
Woo!
my journey at DoorLoop. So I will be happy to share all the insights.
That's awesome. Okay, thank you. And actually, I feel like I'm in the dark. I had to put on all my potential light bulbs and all my lamps because it's really dark outside in San Francisco today. It's raining. It's like dark gray. What is it like over there? And where are you located, Anna, again?
So I'm located in Tel Aviv, and I encourage actually everyone who is joining our live to just throw in the chat where you're joining from. It's good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Yeah, just to hear where folks from.
Awesome. Yeah, excited to hear where you guys are from and what the weather is like right now over there. And I actually, well, let's jump right in and start with the questions. I have a bunch of questions for you. So, first question, let's start setting up the context. I want to understand what the situation was like when you first took on the challenge of building this lifecycle area at DoorLoop.
So yeah, I will tell a few words about DoorLoop itself. So
Mhm.
DoorLoop is a property management software. We help property managers, landlords, property management owners, and companies to get most of their assets, to get most of their units and manage them properly, build reports, communicate with tenants. So basically, make their life easier. um, our company is around 5 years old. So when I joined DoorLoop, we already had some communication set, but yet it was done by general marketers, not by someone who is like focused on life cycle, on email, on SMS communication. So when I joined in August 2024, I had some activities that were running, but I literally had like so much freedom to improve things and to test the things. And we're gonna talk a lot today about the tests and how to take the most out of this.
Awesome. Yay, can't wait. Thank you for sharing a bit about DoorLoop. And you've mentioned you've been at DoorLoop for 6 months, so it's all pretty fresh. I'd love to learn more about what your approach has been for those first 6 months building the area from scratch.
So I think whenever you join, it actually doesn't matter in what position you join the company. It's very important, like to onboard yourself, and I call it onboarding, self onboarding,
Mhm.
and part of this it means like to talk to so many people from different departments, from different teams. So I had about like, I don't know, 40 50 different calls with all our team located here in Israel, in US and Europe, and talk about like the challenges and how we can work together. And one of the question was like, okay, if for example I talk with a sales representative and I'm asking them, how can I help you, how I can make your job easier, or is there anything you see I can improve, like using my channel.
I love that. I love that. I love, and that question is so powerful. And the more people you kind of ask that question, the more you can see a pattern of things that really stand out, right?
Yeah.
It probably also looked at data points that the first, as you were beginning, as you were starting, so to understand how like people reacted to what you had in place already and what could be improved. Can you tell us a little bit about which data points that helped you assess the situation and get major insights?
So I think in terms of analyzing the current situation, like, so I have two answers on this question. I will describe how I get insights from the conversation, and then switch to more what insights I get from my field, from
Mhm.
lifecycle and email.
Okay.
So while I had these many calls with my teammates, I heard a lot of insights and a lot of information, and of course I took a notes, but it was kind of difficult, to follow on everything. So my hack for everyone who's like joining the new company or going through a lot of conversation is just record the meetings, have a transcription uploaded to ChatGPT, and ask like to highlight, few main challenges, or challenges for data team, challenges for product team. And this is the way how you will see, okay, what is like, what are the goals of the team, what are the business goals, right, what are the goals for several different departments. So this was important for me to see and to analyze and to present it later to my superior. And in terms of my field, like, I'm not the person, who is joining the team and saying, oh, that's all wrong, let's redo everything. So for me, it was important to overlook what is already exist, even if it's like simple, transactional system emails, how it performs. Do we have any challenges? IP reputation. I will talk a little bit more about this later. But just to overview the situation and map it out, either it's a spreadsheet or it's any like visual tool that you use.
Cool. Yeah, I love that. I love the idea of also like just recording the full conversation and then being able to upload it somewhere. Because I remember in the past having to, having this spreadsheet with all the questions and then the columns where I would like quickly try to type down all the answers to the questions. Like that's how we used to do user research not too long ago, not just user but market research and research within the team too. And then now we have access to that, like just recording things and taking the transcript somewhere and asking questions to this chat bot that knows everything about what's going on and can quickly pick out the answer. So it's amazing. Yeah, definitely use that in your favor. Um, and I'm wondering about, so you mentioned in one of our first conversations that you believe a lot in quick wins and getting quick wins as soon as possible when you join. And you also mentioned how you're not the person like saying like everything is wrong. So quick wins are not about like redesigning everything without knowing the context well, but like trying to understand those small kind of details where you can, change things and make an impact. So I would love to know how, like, what were your first quick wins when you first joined DoorLoop, and how did you find those quick wins?
That's a great question, and I first would like to like mention why quick wins are important, because it might sound like do something like easy and not very deep and just to show your work, but no, why we as a channel, when I'm saying we, I refer to email, because and I think that folks in comments will in the chat will agree with me that oftentimes email is overlooked at the channel. Email is free, email is a supportive channel. While I do think that email is supportive channel, right? But we need to show the impact of email. So these quick wins will help us not only to show like and establish email channel as a strong channel, but also to establish ourselves as an expert. So I would define, like, I would name two different like segments of quick wins.
Mhm.
One, of course, is like revenue, conversion. So if we are talking about B2C, e-commerce subscription model, it's conversion to purchase, average order value. So how email, how SMS, pop-up, whatever tools you are using, whatever channels, messaging you are using, how they impact the revenue. But I understand that some our attendees probably will tell me, Anna, I work for B2B. Our sales cycle is like 12, 15 months. I can't show anything like related to revenue in the first 3 months. So what should I do in this case? And I want to say that the insights that we can get from email, these are also quick wins. These are also value. So, for example, even though our sales cycle at DoorLoop is quite short, it could be like 1 month, sometimes it's even less. But in order to show the impact of email, what you can do is A/B test the subject line, A/B test the messaging, the image, and give these insights to share it with other channels. For example, if something worked for me as a subject line, I go to my colleagues and I talk with PPC lead, with Meta lead, with people who manage landing pages, and they share that, okay, this is something that worked for me. I will give you like the very practical advice. Oftentimes we offer our users, like potential customers, free onboarding, and we try to phrase it differently, like waived onboarding, free onboarding, 100% off price of onboarding, until we found the word that is really working for us: zero onboarding fee. And this was more powerful than anything. So of course, this is like the information that I shared with all other channels. So when I'm saying like quick wins, of course, if you can show it revenue wise, that's amazing. But also insights, go over the A/B test, and try to understand your audience as much as possible. If you are sending newsletters, maybe based on this, like newsletters on interaction of the user, you can say, oh, these types of the content perform better than another one, like for example, blog versus testimonials.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. That reminded me that I've experienced before with email. Just there was this moment where we had this huge campaign to launch, like multi-million dollar kind of campaign, like 360 TV, radio, the whole thing, and weren't sure about like we knew kind of where we wanted to go, but we wanted to test out the messaging and also some visuals. And then we used email to do that. So we A/B tested subject lines with different messaging to understand like what people would be more inclined to kind of click on and open. And also the visuals within the email, we tested something. So there's so much that you can do with the emails that you can get like insights. It's probably the quickest way because you don't have to run that. You can, in 24 hours, you already have a pretty good understanding of what works and doesn't work. So yeah, I love that. And you mentioned, you mentioned revenue, you mentioned A/B tests with customer insights. You said you would have a third one. Did you have anything else in mind that?
Yeah, oftentimes, and I know that it's part of like email strategy. It's deliverability and all around the technical part of email. And I'm not a deliverability expert, but as email is getting more and more technical, I think all of people who work with email need to understand what is DMARC, what is like IP reputation, how to connect Google Postmaster, and I think in the report that Mail Motor prepared, we mention it's mentioned like a few of insights about the deliverability itself as well. So one of the quick win also is like to have an understanding um, what is the infrastructure of email. Do you have only one domain, or there are subdomains? Okay, if you have a extensive like support team, what domain they use to communicate with customers? If it's, do you have like any outbound communication, like cold communication, or it's all like inbound lead? If we are talking about B2B, do you have like transactional domain versus promotional, and the same with IP? Because I feel in different companies, like, let's phrase it that way, not always this information is under like marketing operations.
Mhm.
Oftentimes it's like IT team is behind
Mhm.
this data.
Mhm. Yeah, cool. The report you were talking about, is that state of email?
Yes, the state of email 2025.
Awesome. Cool. Yes. Very insightful report, everyone. We're dropping the link down below if anyone is interested in downloading it. And cool. So we were talking about quick wins during the first 3 months. Can you tell us a little bit about what you learned and how you apply those learnings to keep building the area?
Yeah, you're talking about like after 3 months, right? After you like establish yourself as a channel.
Mm-hmm.
So then, to all my life cyclist colleagues, like, then this is when the challenge begins, right? Because we still need to talk about the attribution. We still have like the challenges with all the metrics, and this is the time when sales team want to collaborate, and they have so many ideas. So first of all, the attribution. I want to say that there is no silver bullet, unfortunately, for attribution, right? I wouldn't say, okay, we should use first click, last click, all touches, but this is something you need to define internally within like the marketing and a larger team, including C-level if needed, just to understand how would you measure the impact of email. So if there is like a main direct funnel and like a influential funnel that helps to bring, if we're talking about B2B, like to bring leads, to engage, to nurture them, and there is no one size fits all. So again, talk to other teams to understand how they measure attribution, find your way. In this case, email is slightly different from PPC, from Meta, from organic, because we're included in so many touch points. Like in our case, it could be like 16 different touch points, including SMS, including retargeting, and calls.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something that I really encourage my colleagues to tackle in the very beginning, like in the first 6 months at least, to have an understanding of this, and of course have support of either like revenue operation or marketing operation, whoever helps you to track it in your CRM, whatever CRM you use. Um, the second thing is about tracking metrics. We all experts here, we all work in email, so I don't need to say how it's important, to measure like open rate, click-through rate, and how not always it's reliable, right, because of bots and so on so far. But we know that, okay, we can track it and measure like apples to apples. It means compare our metrics a week ago and like to current week, or a month ago to this month. But oftentimes what is overlooked is negative metrics. Specifically, if we're talking B2C, it's unsubscribe, it's complaint rate, it's bounce rate, of course, soft, hard. This is something we also need to measure. And for B2B, it's oftentimes no show for demo, for example. So what we measure, it's how those people who were influenced, like what is no show rate, for example, for those leads who were influenced by email and those who didn't receive any like email or any like personal SDR outreach. Another negative metrics, and that's it, we will finish with negative talks on this session, is leads disqualification. So we might think that, oh, if there was like disqualified lead, we paid to acquire them from some of the channels. But it's actually a good thing if we manage to disqualify the lead through emails, because we save time of AE, we save incentive if we provide, any like gift card or anything to these users. So just to summarize, understand what metrics do you want to track. Conversion from lead to demo, or from like download ebook to opportunity, or for B2C, it's just a conversion from a specific like newsletter to purchase. Different metrics define, and make sure that you track it like week over week, month over month. And the third thing is collaboration with sales. So it's very, very important. And like sales team is just gold mine of all the insights. These are the people who speak every day with your customers, with potential users of your platform or of your product. So build like collaboration with them. It could be weekly, monthly catch-ups. It could be just, the channel automation in whatever messenger you use, where they will share their insights. Because sometimes, the simple like 30 minutes call with sales can bring you so many ideas about upcoming sequence.
Totally. And I would say that this is true not only for email marketing, but anything marketing related. So all your campaigns, content, like what are the questions that people are asking the sales team when they get on the first call, and what are the questions that they are asked by email, like what are the things that could be helpful that you could create. So ideally someone would get into a sales call and they would be confident about why this product is how it's like the solution to all their problems, because they've been nurtured by your your flows, but also because of all the content that they've had access in the website as well. So there's a lot of information there, a lot of insights within the sales team. I do have a question though, like if you've ever had an experience before when you're like in more of like a PLG kind of format of a company where the sales team is not in touch, or there isn't a sales team so much, like what would you do in that case?
Oh, that's a great question. It actually leads me to the previous company I worked for. So it's all about the platform adoption. You define the specific actions that you want a user to take, and you measure that. So if we are speaking about their like adoption of the platform, they're usually like 3 or 4 milestones that you want user to take like in the first 3 months. So depends on how they interact with platform within this like time frame. you set the communication according to these actions. So for example, if it's a free trial, right, or if it's like a welcome communication, if user didn't try like the main feature, you can remind them, you can dedicate like a specific pop-up for this, or even like a journey, walkthrough tour on the website. So it brings me back to the importance like of conversation with other teams. So sometimes what I see in the company is that data team is tracking all this data, how user uses a specific feature, the time, their certain items that they purchase. They track all of this. It's somewhere like in the back, in a Snowflake or any other system. But marketers, they don't have access to this data. They don't track it in their ESP, or they just, don't know how to integrate. So, yeah, this is something about like collaboration with data team as well.
Awesome. Okay, so the gold mine will be with the product team, probably with adoption, feature adoption. Amazing. And how do you organize all of those metrics so that you can keep track of them?
It's very challenging to do this manually, I will be honest. And I think this is not the best way when you just, have a spreadsheet. But a you have to like start from something, right? So I just want to encourage all the folks on this session that if you doing this manual in a spreadsheet, it's fine. But of course, ideally you have a platform, like Tableau or something, any like dashboard that helps you to accumulate all these metrics. When I'm saying all these metrics, it's soft metrics, right? That they talking about the performance of email, pop-up, SMS. It's hard metrics, so business metrics like revenue, conversion. If, for example, you produce a lot of like ebooks, so it could be like download of ebooks, like any business related metrics, and like negative metrics, and of course conversion months over month. But again, start from like simple dashboards in whatever like ESP CRM tools you use.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Thank you. And looking back, do you remember experimenting with anything that did not work out for you at the time? Did you get any learnings from it?
Yeah, I've done a lot of mistakes during my career, so I'm happy to share. One of the things is, like, speaking generally, I think we need to always be aligned with business goals. And sometimes you work on the project, and I'm talking about like maybe product department, marketing as well. You worked on something like for a few weeks, and then you realize, okay, it doesn't really, like, the focus of the company changes, the priority changes. So this is something to put on hold. So my personal challenge is, to let like my project, my baby, just put on hold it and say, okay, we can continue like next month or in the few months. But sharing more specific examples, it's the first one, I think it's about A/B test. That sometimes you need to choose your battle, right? If you see that you want to run an A/B test, and you have like a gut feeling that it will perform well, think about the audience. Like, is the audience is big enough? For example, if there is like you want to change this tiny element and the design, right, and the design of the content, the color of the button, for example, would you have enough clicks to actually have a proper results? Because you might be working on this like for a few days, and then you will need to wait like a few months to get a results, and it won't be consistent. And generally thinking, like always, we tend to rely on our gut feelings, and I'm guilty my own. And if you also share this in the chat, at least I won't feel like I'm the only one. I'm thinking, oh, like I know how is everything working, right? But oftentimes we need to get this like our gut feeling supported by data. So experiment on very, very small things. And I think that the often like mistakes that we overlook, we think that in email everything is based on the content, but as I already mentioned, email is getting so more like much more technical. And it's not only about like writing a killer subject line, right? It's about to make sure that your emails are not going to the spam and so on and so far. So never overlook deliverability.
Cool. Yeah. So I feel like um, there's, yeah, for sure, like the creative side, and which is important, of course, like, but for people to even look at all the creative side of your emails, you have to make sure that they are delivered in the first place. And there's so much more that has to be done when it comes to deliverability. We do have a really cool deliverability course that just came out. I'll ask the team to also share this on the comments because we've been getting so much good feedback on it. So if anyone is struggling with it, yes, please be our guest and check that out. I I'm curious about your experimentation process. You kind of mentioned that that's one thing that you like to do a lot. What does that process look like right now?
Oh, this is the best part, the most challenging, I guess. But it's basically when you just come up with something, like an A/B test. It could be we always like to do this like on our team meetings, and I talk a lot with other lead channels like PPC, Google, Bing. So what working for them? So first of all, you like I like to throw all the ideas about the tests, and define what is like, okay, what can bring me like quick wins. For example, I can understand like some specific wording, like just in a few days after performance of the email. What is something that might take like weeks or even months, and then decide also what is aligned with a company goal. So basically, um, what I always encourage people to have is like pool of different ideas what you want to test. So if it's a spreadsheet, if it's like systems like Jira or anything you use, like just have a backlog of your ideas. And the second thing, and I already mentioned, make sure that the volume is big enough. I will tell you example. Like we have at DoorLoop prospects with different number of units. So, for example, there are people who can have like 10 different assets, 50, 100. So while I like to divide and personalize the communication based on how many units they have, there are some groups with very, very low number of users. That makes me understand that, okay, this is probably not the best test. So first of all, ideas. Second, like make sure that the volume is big enough. Then next one is understanding how these tests can impact like the performance down the funnel, right? Okay, maybe you see the open rate, is different, the click rate different. Did it convert to conversion, to, I don't know, registration to the webinar, to download a ebook, schedule a demo? So sometimes we focus on like the metrics like in the beginning of the funnel, and then forget about the rest. And what I try to do is like to test only one element at the time, so it's just easier to track the performance of email. Again, it depends on the tool that you use. and inline like all your tests with other teams, especially if you have like conversion rate optimization team or someone who is like doing tests with demo form, with checkout form, because oftentimes you might see like low results, but it's related to some other test or like some technical issues, or even what we experienced like a few months ago when there was a hurricane in Florida. We just had like a terrible performance, and for like few hours we couldn't understand why campaign performed that bad. So it
Mhm.
could be like anything non-related to email. I hope
Awesome.
this answered the question.
Yeah, all the potential overlaps, and there are many. So
Yeah.
cool. We have a question here from Marina Gabor. She's asking, what is your minimum number of users for a test?
Oh, it really depends, Marina, on what are you testing. There are special tools, you can Google it, that will help you to understand the significance of A/B test in terms of users. So I would say, if we're talking about the subject line, right, open rate, I just wouldn't come up with, I won't do test if it's less like than 5K users.
Mhm.
Also because of the bots, because of the tools like Barracuda, that open and click off the links. But just test it with the tool.
Cool. Thank you. And I think I had one other follow-up question, but now I missed it. If I come back, I might come back to it later.
I have
Well,
example, actually, something that I
yeah.
wanted to mention, but I forgot about the importance of speaking with a sales team. So
Mhm.
we had one of our sequences is the sequence before, like the journey before the user joined the demo session, and the goal of these sequences, first of all, that user will show up for the demo, and the
Mhm.
second, to customize demo for them.
Mhm.
So in the first email we had a few questions, like, okay, are you using any other tool, very like yes no questions. And I get
Mhm.
a feedback from sales team that, you know what, like we get some responses, but it's very like these responses are not insightful for us, like we can
Mhm.
customize the demo based on this. And then I ask, okay, what is the question that you use when you talk to prospects? And they start conversation with, what brought you to DoorLoop, what are your
Mhm.
challenges? So after this conversation, this is what we implemented in our email as well, like 3 questions that are not yes no but more open. And of course we tested, and of course it, like, the performance was higher.
Cool. I have a question about that. Like, what is the form like? What does it look like? Do you have a form embedded in the email so that they can answer within the email, or do you take them to another page
We ask them to respond to email, because each
to
email comes.
reply?
Yeah, to reply to
Did
email.
they reply?
Yes, users usually
Ooh.
apply, but it's good idea about the form, because this is like what, interactive email, AMFO email, right? And this is the usage that I see oftentimes in B2B
Mhm.
space, when you ask users to reply within the email, so they don't need to go out of the page, or if
Mhm.
they want to schedule a call, also the like a variety of spots within the email.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we do too. So we usually embed the form within the email, and yeah, I think it becomes a little easier for users to, just
Yeah.
click and hit send. But if they're replying to your emails, I mean, that's amazing. That's even better, I would say. It's just that you might lose some people there that are not willing to like hit reply and type down things.
But for this,
Uh
we have other channels like, SMS as
yeah,
retargeting. Yeah.
totally, totally. Yeah, I will connect you with our team if you want to check out Mailmodo for that, for the interactive emails, because it could be cool. You could test it out and see what happens, because then you could embed that, all of that, the form, the calendar all of that into your emails. I have one question about just more general advice. What would be like one piece of advice you'd like to share with Lifecycle folks to help them be more efficient with their experiments and become better at iterating and finding sweet spots?
It's not on maybe solely about like experiments. It's generally about like our channel is always think about the business ideas and think how my channel, how this experiment, this campaign can impact the revenue, can impact the business goals.
Mhm.
And I can share an example from the previous place I worked for, Powtoon. Powtoon is a presentation tool, subscription model, like millions of users, very big database. And the company had users like all over the world, and I personally really wanted to have like multilingual emails, and translate them to several languages like Spanish, Portuguese. They had a big communities there. But then like I realized that this is, even though we have a lot of users in these countries, but they are not converting to paid users. So
Mhm.
uh, numbers wise, when I look at ESP, it's worth doing that, right? We translated few emails, the open rate was higher, but they used the free version. So
Mm.
in this case, we were not aligned with the business goals, but it was great experience.
And do you think they also use the free version because it wasn't in their first language, so they might be like not, you know,
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think
yeah.
like I myself speak like 3.5 languages, and I think it's very important to not only like translate your product and website, but also localize. To have the local culture and everything included into landing pages and communication you have.
Yeah, totally. Because sometimes like you might speak English, but someone else in your team might not. And then the reporting is really hard for everyone to understand. So you're like not sure if you're going to go all in that specific platform, or you're going to keep on looking for something else. I remember the follow up question that I had for you before.
Please.
So you were just talking about iteration and the backlog of ideas. I was wondering about how you prioritize those ideas once you have the backlog.
That's a good one. I want to say that I go to my manager, to my superior, and ask
Mhm.
them. But again, if if there is something that your teammates are already working on, for example, just now, like I will tell you a really example from today. I want to experiment with some thank you emails, like thank you for download the free resources, and at the same time, I know that person who is managing Meta is working on also on the thank you page for the demo. So
Mhm.
this is like very quick wins in terms of like um, you know that copywriters are already working on the copy, designers on design, so this can be combined, take parts of the landing page and use it in like email or other channels. And the second thing, like number two, is how impactful it will be, right? Will it move the needle or not? And how long it will take. I'm not saying that if the test will need to run for 2 months, it's a bad test. No, just it means that you need to start it like today and not expect results like in 2 weeks. And I think the last thing when I have a backlog of ideas, it's also seasonality, and especially relevant for companies that got investment, because you need to show some results, right? And oftentimes these results are connected to revenue. So if it's a good time, to run the test and maybe like lose some revenue, or this is end of the quarter and you need to show better results.
Mm. Okay, I love that. Yes, all of that makes sense. Cool. I have. So you were, yeah, you just spoke about your advice. I went back to the other question, sorry, and now on to something I'm very curious to hear from you, which is other brands. They're doing a great job with their B2B life cycle strategies. Like, who do you look up to?
I really like Calendly.
Hmm.
Calendly is nice. Grammarly. Well, they're similar names actually. I didn't I didn't realize it before pronouncing. I think it's very engaging what Grammarly is sending. They send. It depends if either it's like a business account or not. They send like achievements, your stats. At the same time, they send a lot of like interesting articles if you're into language and into like learning the language. One brand that I really admire because the product is a little bit specific. It's Casper.
Hmm.
Casper is like the the main product is mattresses. So this is something that no one will purchase, every month. So they have a lot of like upsell products, and even the way how they communicate. I never heard that there are so many information about mattresses, honestly. And I think the last one is a Slack. They have really
Hmm.
nice communication like around webinars, and also the way how they communicate within the product, their micro copy. Wow, it's just fantastic.
Hmm. Good. Yeah, really cool. Do you ever is like market research and benchmark research part of your day-to-day life at all or of any of your routines?
I'm honestly not a big fan of benchmarks because, especially when we are talking about like email performance, I think we need to compare ourselves to ourselves like last month, yesterday. But answering this question, like you always can ask the advice from the folks within the community, and not just rely on the like random numbers from internet.
Yeah, totally, totally. And also get like some insight on like a lot of email marketers. Do you do that like save emails that they really like so that, there is inspiration in their inbox so whenever they're like a bit, do you do that at
Yeah,
all?
yeah. I have the entire folder like of inspiration, very random sometimes brands.
Yeah.
And of course there are a lot of like collections and website, that say it really amazing, like well coded, well written email. So for different categories I always go there to look some for some ideas.
Cool. All right. And how do you see, we just spoke about using interactive emails for forms and getting, answers and stuff like that. But how do you see interactive emails impacting lifecycle marketing as a whole?
I first of all, I think we as a brands and like myself, we need to use more of interactive emails, and I feel like this oftentimes viewed as a like B2C e-commerce product recommendation, but it's much more than that. As we already mentioned, it could be a form, time slot, feedback, survey, like it's so many like possibilities. It could
Mhm.
be like part of the gamification. So I think uh, maybe it's too early to speak about impact yet.
Mhm.
But I see, and I'm happy to see that B2B brands also slowly adopting that. Once, we will have less like Outlook users, maybe we can send them email to everyone.
Awesome. Yeah. And what is the most important learning that you had so far in your career?
That's a nice one. Let me think. Like the first one, I think I mentioned it already a few times, that align with business goals,
Mhm.
and zoom out. Like think about your like the entire user journey. Just not focusing on the specific steps. And another important thing that not everyone will like, but we have to do this, it's documenting
Mm.
your journeys, A/B tests, everything, because we have so much knowledge, right, when we work in house, or even if it's like agency working with different brands, and oftentimes we don't pass this knowledge to other teams. So it's very important. Like the first thing what I do when I actually join the new team is like documentation of everything, and whatever system you use, like Monday, Notion. There are so many different platforms that help you to keep track of your activities.
Cool. So that does that mean your when it comes to documentation, what does that look like for you? I'm curious about like what kind of
Mhm.
format you use to document.
It's great question, because I have two documentation. So one is like, I always like visualization, maybe because I wanted to be a painter, didn't succeed. So it's like visual journey. For example, okay, this is when user enter, they receive this pop-up, they receive like this email, just to understand the flow. And this is also something that you would show to people who are maybe in the product team, right, or in a sales team. Like, the yet will get an understanding of what's going on, what is the journey of the user, but without like a lot of details. And
Mm.
another is like, either it's a spreadsheet, or like a table built in your CRM, where you have links, you have preview, you have A/B tests, like subject line, pre-header, sender from, like all the information, like that visually you can see, and you can understand, like the performance based on one of the elements that was changed, like
Mm.
and also easy access to all the reporting. So you won't need to go to ESP to find the specific email. There's like all the links are there.
Mhm. Yeah, cool. I love that. I am also like in favor of everything really visual, and
Yeah,
yeah, that's great. Yes. Okay. Thank you. I have a final question for you about um and this is going to be like kind of a r- wide kind of question, but like what is maybe something that you read, you heard, you watched recently that has made an impact on how you see strategy or consumer behavior or trends coming up for the next years?
I um, I think really the power of life cycle marketers is that we have like amazing communities, and like email, SMS, and not only Slack channel, but also like different types of groups, and sharing really like amazing content. I think one book that really impressed me lately, written by Nancy Harhat. Harhat, I
Mhm.
hope I pronounced correctly, about behavioral in marketing, like how how we can influence the behavior of user by doing the different tests. So I really encourage everyone to read it, because she not only gives ideas, but she also gives like the results, the wins, what failed, what didn't perform well. So in the end of the day, we like to separate B2C, B2B, but it's human to human.
100%. 100% agree on that. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Anna. It was so great having you. Wow. And thank you for sharing so much of your journey so far. We've had a blast. And also thank you about for sharing about the book. If you can send us the title later, we'll add a link to it on our email,
Sure. Thank
the
you.
next
Thank you
email,
so
the
much
follow up email.
for having me, even though I was in the dark. But I hope we have so many bright ideas, and you are looking forward to run and implement and test, and bring your email strategy on a different level.
Yeah. And what if people wants to connect with you? What is the best way?
LinkedIn. Just follow me on LinkedIn, and I'm always sharing some fun there.
Okay, cool. All right. We'll add the link to your LinkedIn as well so that people can connect with you. And this has been so great. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. And this is the end of the Life Cyclist, you guys. So yes, thank you for being part of it this first season. It was really great. And thank you for joining us for this last session. And we'll see you around.
Bye, everyone.